Hello and welcome to this month's MS Trust News Roundup. Let's start with news on NICE's recommendations to reject 5 MS drugs for relapsing MS. Back in December, NICE published its preliminary decision on the use of Copaxone and the 5 beta interferon drugs by the NHS in England. NICE recommended Extavia but rejected Copaxone, Avonex, betaferon, Plegridy and Rebif as treatments for people with relapsing MS. The decision was met with shock and dismay in the MS community, with many people angry that their choice was being taken away. We are also very disappointed with NICE's recommendations, and we do not believe they are in the best interests of people with MS or the NHS. Before Christmas, we set up online consultations for people with MS and for specialist MS health professionals to gather views on the NICE recommendations. We received hundreds of responses from people with MS and health professionals, so thank you very much for your input. Hearing your views was incredibly helpful, and we have now responded to NICE's consultation in the strongest possible terms.
My name is Janice Sykes and I'm a member of the information team here at the MS Trust. The key issue for us was that NICE hasn't taken account of the practical and the real world differences between these 6 drugs. Firstly, there's the ease of use. The drug that they're recommending, which is Extavia, is supplied as a powder and a solvent, and you have to make that up every time you do the injection, and there are 17 steps to that. Now, if you've got problems with manual dexterity, or you have problems with your eyesight, or you find it difficult to follow instructions, and all of those are common problems in MS, then that's going to make it really difficult for you to use Extavia. Some of the other drugs that they're rejecting are much easier to inject. They're supplied as simple, ready-filled injection pens, and all you need to do is press it against your arm or your leg and do the injection. So another issue that they haven't taken account of is injection frequency. And this was something that came up frequently from the responses we got from our survey. The drug that they've recommended, Extavia, you inject every other day. And that's just not a frequency that's easy to remember. And if people forget to do their injection, then the drug will not be as effective. A lot of people were saying they were choosing a particular betaferon because it was a weekly injection or a fortnightly injection, and that was much easier to fit into a busy lifestyle with looking after children, working and so on. That also has an impact on the injection frequency, also has an impact on the side effects that you often get with the beta interferons, because one of the main problems is a flu-like reaction every time you do the injection. Not everybody gets that, but a lot of people do. If you have a less frequent injection pattern, then it's easier to manage that. You can manage the injection, you do it at a time when you know that you're going to be find it easier to recover. And one of the other drugs that they're rejecting, which is Copaxone, doesn't give you those flu-like symptoms at all. Another issue that we were concerned about was that around conception and pregnancy, because NICE's decision will eliminate the one drug that's considered to be safest for women who want to start a family. I think in all, in practice, we don't think that this decision will save the NHS money, and in fact will probably result in greater costs.
You can read our full response at mstrust.org.uk/news. It's important to note that if you are already taking one of these drugs, you will not be affected and can continue without change. Staying on the subject of MS drugs, the MS Trust will also be explaining to NICE why we think ocrelizumab should be made available on the NHS for primary progressive MS. To help us make a strong case, we'd really like to hear your views and experiences of living with primary progressive MS, your views on current NHS care for primary progressive MS, and your thoughts on ocrelizumab. If you have a spare moment and want to ensure your voice is heard, please fill in our short questionnaire, which you can find at mstrust.org.uk/news. The next issue of our free magazine Open Door is back from the printers and will reach subscribers this weekend. The February edition has lots of great content for people with MS, their friends and families. There's a Q&A with MS nurses Leslie Catterall and Denise Middleton, all about sex and MS, articles on resistance training and mindfulness and how they could help with MS symptoms, plus all the usual news, research and fab fundraising opportunities. We're particularly excited about this month's cover story, which is all about our project to make sure young people don't have to face MS alone. The project centres on MS TV, our new dedicated YouTube channel for young people affected by MS, which we will be launching in MS Awareness Week at the end of April. Amy was diagnosed with MS at just 14. In this clip, she tells us about her experience and why she's determined to help the MS Trust make sure no young person has to go through what she did.
Well, I'm called Amy. I'm 17 years old and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 14 years old. I got a neurologist, like a paediatric one, and then I had all sorts done there. I had a lumbar puncture and then they told me what was wrong with me, and I was so nervous about that, and I was worried about myself because I didn't know what was happening, because I didn't understand it. I had never heard of it, to be honest. I was crying every day because I was like, what is wrong with me? I thought I was going to die, which isn't like, that is a bit extreme, but it is like something I thought at 14 years old. And it got a lot worse after I was diagnosed and after I started telling people. So I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was on my own, to be honest. And I think people my age who get diagnosed now do feel the same. But I hope to God that I help somebody with this.
If you'd like to get involved in this project, be that through fundraising or sharing your own experiences, please visit mstrust.org.uk/young-people. If you fancy taking on a new challenge in 2018 and doing something amazing for people with MS, we've got lots of exciting events you could sign up to. There's Miles for MS, a brand new campaign for 2018 where you set your own distance challenge to complete during May and raise sponsorship to support people living with MS. Or for more adventurous types, there's a chance to tackle Britain's highest mountain on the Ben Nevis Trek. To find out about these opportunities and loads more, see mstrust.org.uk/events. That's it from me, have a great weekend.